I shot my stalker tonight, Reddit story in real life. For the past 6 months, I have been relentlessly stalked and had threats against my life made from someone I dated for a month. It started with phone calls upwards of 45 to 50 a day, 50-page text messages, and him showing up outside of my house at 5 a.m. When I wouldn't not comply or feed the negative attention, I began to receive threats, claims that he would murder me and get away with it. All he would have to do is flee the country, telling me he shouldn't have to force me to be his friend or give him another chance or else. Every time I blocked his number from contacting me, he would then call me from different ones, try and pretend to be other people or have his friends, or sometimes even random strangers he'd ask on the street. I once scared an unsuspecting guy half to death after informing him that the person who had just told him to call me was actually stalking me, and I sent him proof. He ended up calling the police on him. He fled, of course. After about 2 months of that, I was evicted from my apartment building due to my neighbors no longer feeling safe because of his looming presence. I then applied for and was granted a TPO. A few days afterwards, I received a picture message of the note the sheriff civil had left on the door of my stalkers, then residence, with a message taunting me that what you are trying to do was stupid and a restraining order is just a piece of paper. So ultimately, he just ended up avoiding the process server, and simple as that. I was not being protected at all. May 31st of this year, I relocated. This did not deter my stalker. He vowed to find wherever I moved to and threatened that if he couldn't find me, he would be able to find my family, and then proceeded to send me a map of my mother's home whom he had never met. I received a message from a woman claiming to be my former landlord, letting me know that I owed a balance on my account, and to avoid late fees I needed to pay the amount, which I could do with the link provided in the message. Turns out it was my stalker pretending to be a woman, and the link turned out to be a tool used to grab the user's IP address when they clicked the link. Upon this discovery, I changed my phone number and began to systematically dismantle any trace of an online presence I once had. This action only seemed to anger him, and before deleting the profiles outright, I would attempt to block him from contacting me. Each and every time I blocked one, he simply created a new one and proceeded to contact me as if nothing had happened. 12 different Reddit accounts, 9 different Tumblrs, 10 different Instagrams, 3 Meetup accounts, 4 Facebooks, with which he changed his location to that of my hometown and proceeded to add nearly everyone from my graduating class in high school, and even 3 Duolingo accounts and MySpace. Yes, MySpace. I then received an empty package from him addressed to my former residence with the declaration: address correction requested. Do not forward. I'm assuming he thought that the post office would adhere to his requests and return the package to him with my new corrected address on it. Mid-July, he created a profile using my photos and likeness to threaten my family. When I didn't respond, he proceeded to post semi-nude pictures of me on the profile in an attempt to blackmail me into speaking with him. I did not, and contacted Twitter to report the account and have it removed, which they eventually did. On August 21st, 2014, I awoke around 8 p.m. to vigorous knocking and ringing of my doorbell. I looked out my window to see who it was, and I was horrified to see my stalker there. I called the police, and of course he fled once again. Over 7 separate police reports filed. This incident was followed by threatening emails from my stalker demanding that I meet him somewhere, or because he had found me that next time I would wake up to gunshots, and that if I didn't, he would first taser you and rape you in the ass using your boyfriend's blood as lube. This past Sunday night, I woke up at 6:45 a.m. to the ringing and banging again. I proceeded to record him on video while I was on the phone with the police. He fled on foot once again, and I was hit with the same hoopla from law enforcement. Well, we can't really do much because technically at this point he's not doing anything wrong. Then why does he flee, I wonder? I obtained a TPO again, but I have no solid address for this dangerous person, which is why I am in dire need of a private investigator to assist with finding said residence so this person can be served. I hope you might be able to refer me to someone who might be able to assist me. I've developed insomnia, depression, anxiety, and paranoia. I am completely isolated. I am 22 years old and I have no social life anymore. I have 0 friends. I've become a shell of my former self. I've faced eviction and lost a job because of this man's behavior, and I don't know how much longer I can survive. There's actually so much more filler shit that he has done to terrorize me, but for the sake of this already lengthy post, I tried to condense it. I have proof in the form of recordings, event diaries, and copies of all of his threats, interactions, and attempts to communicate, and would be more than willing to email them to show I'm not lying. I am in LV if that helps at all. TL, DR? People overuse the word stalking so much these days that no one takes it seriously anymore. As soon as someone doesn't like someone anymore, they call them a stalker. This isn't staring at your ex's new lover's timeline longer than you healthily should. This is the real scared to sleep at night deal. I have felt the fear before, and it's eating away at me. I need help. Badly. Edit. Whoever has gilded me gold. Wow. Thank you so much. As pathetic as it may seem, Redditors and Imgirians have seriously been one of my only sources of comfort and human interaction for the past few months. You've no idea how much these communities helped out my constant sadness. I see you are Slasha. You guys seriously rock. Thanks for being here for me. Relevant comments. Commenter. Can you post the video? OOP, yes, but I'm on the phone with the police during the video. I'm not 100% sure how to blurt out certain information like my address and my phone number from the audio in the video. OOP comments on September 27th, 3 days later. Commenter. Damn. I remember talking to an old friend of mine from Vegas who was saying she'll get a CCW soon. I kind of think I should forward this to her. Soon just doesn't seem soon enough. OOP. Do it. My gun saved my life. Reddit post October 8th, 2014. Image description. A photo of the slightly open door. The chair is in front, pushed to the side. Black paint is covering the side of the door that has been busted in. Arrows, most likely from crime scene units, are stuck to the door pointing to individual spots. I'm writing this staring at the mess the police left for me, in a bit of a fog. After 6 months of stalking and threats against my life, my stalker finally snapped and decided to kick my door in and make good on his promise. Out of fear, the past month I had begun sleeping with a chair propped against my front door to give myself a few extra precious seconds in case of emergency. I shudder to think how differently things might have turned out had I not barricaded the door. I awoke around 1:15 a.m. to the sound of the door giving way after one kick, followed by the sounds of my stalker struggling to dislodge the chair while forcing his way inside. I jumped up and grabbed the gun I've learned to do everything, even shower with. I stood at the top of my stairs and fired twice. Hitting him in the chest, I hear his scream. His disbelief that I'd stood up for myself. 0 to 100 in milliseconds. I've never been so afraid in my life. I do not know if he is living, but I do know the police have him, and that's what helps the most. For months of him evading the police, I began to question whether he was unstoppable, untraceable. Houdini, he would murder me and get away with it. As of now, I'm in a haze of guilt, surprise, relief, and disbelief. I shook as the canines dragged him out from his hiding place under a bush. I survived, where so many people do not. Holy shit, I survived. Edit. The outpouring of support is wild. I can't thank you guys enough. Everyone can be a critic, and the fact still remains. You don't know what you will do in a situation until it's presented in front of you. Those who believe there are other things to be done have never had someone tell you that you no longer deserve to draw breath and mean it. And for the should have fired a warning shot, folks. There are no warning shots. A gun is a deadly force. You only pull that trigger if you are in fear for your life, and all other methods of deterring are gone. When he kicked my door in, there was no longer a deterrent preventing harm. Warning shots are dangerous and could hurt the unintended. This is not a Wild West movie. That's what responsible gun ownership is. They'll update once things have calmed down a bit, I promise. I'll write back to everyone, and after being isolated for so long, anyone who wants to be friends, I am always accepting those. Link to news article. October 2nd, 2014. Las Vegas, Nevada. A woman shot her stalker after he kicked in her back door. She had been living in fear, showering with a gun, and propping a chair up against her door for just this sort of situation. Her post to Reddit made the story go viral. She writes, "I'm writing this staring at the mess the police left for me, in a bit of a fog. After 6 months of stalking and threats against my life, my stalker finally snapped and decided to kick my door in and make good on his promise. Out of fear, the past month I had begun sleeping with a chair propped against my front door to give myself a few extra precious seconds in case of emergency. I shudder to think how differently things might have turned out had I not barricaded the door." Police say former boyfriend Douglas Eugene Jackson, 22, kicked in her door at around 1 a.m. last Friday. I awoke around 1:15 a.m. to the sound of the door giving way after one kick, followed by the sounds of my stalker struggling to dislodge the chair while forcing his way inside. I jumped up and grabbed the gun I've learned to do everything, even shower with. I stood at the top of my stairs and fired twice. Hitting him in the chest, I heard his scream. His disbelief that I'd stood up for myself, said the victim in a blog post. KVVU-TV reports that Jackson left the scene and tried to hide in some bushes. Police dogs quickly found the stalker. He was treated for his injuries at University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. Jackson now faces charges of home invasion and aggravated stalking. For months of him evading the police, I began to question whether he was unstoppable, untraceable. Houdini, he would murder me and get away with it. As of now, I'm in a haze of guilt, surprise, relief, and disbelief. I shook as the canines dragged him out from his hiding place under a bush. The victim writes in a post to Imager. The victim, who does not wish to be identified, has saved many threatening texts and social media posts from her stalker. She says he forced her to move, obtain a restraining order, and acquire a license to carry a concealed weapon. The victim followed up with a note. The outpouring of support is wild. I can't thank you guys enough. Everyone can be a critic, and the fact still remains. You don't know what you will do in a situation until it's presented in front of you. Those who believe there are other things to be done have never had someone tell you that you no longer deserve to draw breath and mean it. And for the should have fired a warning shot, folks. There are no warning shots. A gun is a deadly force. You only pull that trigger if you are in fear for your life and all other methods of deterring are gone. When he kicked my door in, there was no longer a deterrent preventing harm. Warning shots are dangerous and could hurt the unintended. This is not a Wild West movie. That's what responsible gun ownership is. Daily Mail has an article on the case, along with text evidence submitted by OOP here. Update on case in 2020. Article. Editor's note. This is 6 years after the original events, but is the same man. He did this to a different woman in 2019, while on parole. They refer to OOP as the former girlfriend in Las Vegas, even though she only went on 2 dates with him. Reno, Nevada, AP. A Nevada man has been sentenced to 15 years in prison after pleading guilty to stalking a female acquaintance while on parole for a similar crime that happened in Las Vegas. The Washoe County District Attorney's Office in Reno announced the sentence for 28-year-old Douglas Eugene Jackson on Friday. Jackson was arrested in Florence, Arizona in January and pleaded guilty to the aggravated stalking charge in July. According to prosecutors, an investigation by the Sparks Police Department determined Jackson had sent numerous threatening text messages to a woman over several months in 2019. The texts included threats against the woman's dog and property. He also called the woman's family and friends in an effort to get information about her. At the time of the threats, Jackson was on parole for stalking a former girlfriend in Las Vegas. That woman ended up shooting him at her home. Editor's note, this was OOP in 2014. He served about 5 years in prison after OOP shot him per the https://of-desearched.doc.nv.gov website. If you search his name, his details come up. According to the District Attorney's Office, Prosecutor Travis Lucia sought a maximum sentence because of the terrifying nature of Jackson's conduct, which came after only a month on parole for the previous crime. Jackson was living in Washoe County at the time of the threats but had no steady address. In 2023, a woman on TikTok claimed to be the OOP from 2014. There was an article written about that here. Text copied below. September 20th, 2023, 9 years later. Deja Washington was 22 years old when she agreed to go on a date with a man. After the second date, she decided she wasn't really feeling it and told him. In a post to TikTok, she has since revealed how just 3 weeks of knowing the man turned into her being stalked for a whopping 7 months. In a video uploaded to her TikTok account, u/Dacia Washington says she had a lot of other stuff going on at the time and explained this to her date, who said it was okay. Washington walked away from the connection thinking everything was fine. But a month and a half later, and the date had very much changed his tune. Camera TikTok /u/Dacia Washington's date later decided that everything was not fine and began massaging her hundreds of times a day. He argued he was a good man and deserved a chance. At first I blew it off and I was kind of annoyed. I was like, who do you think you are? But then it started to get really scary really quickly. He started sending me pictures of the outside of my house, telling me that he was planning a raid. Camera TikTok /u/Daciadoesit. Washington received messages and calls from the man for over a month and started filing police reports. The man taking pictures of her doing so and of her talking to the police. Washington explains he would even talk to strangers and her neighbors, so she couldn't trust anybody. She eventually had to move out of her apartment because a restraining order truly is just a piece of paper, left unable to sleep because he would threaten he was outside and was planning to break in. Camera TikTok /u/Daciadoesit. Washington claims she went to the police 5-10 times and filed, like 10 police reports, but says she was told there wasn't anything they could do as he hadn't hurt her. She eventually moved house, but her stalker posed as her former landlord, used packages and social media to try and track her down. The man threatened to kill her and said he knew he was going to get away with it because he was a white man and she was a black woman. Washington was later assigned a detective to her case, but the first time she met him, she says he revealed he'd met her stalker who seemed like a nice guy and suggested it could be a misunderstanding. I knew at that moment this man was going to kill me and he was going to get away with it. Camera TikTok /u/Daciadoesit. Washington's stalker changed phone numbers and even used Duolingo to try to contact her, and it was when Washington registered to vote, he finally found her address. She resolved to buy a firearm, despite being very anti-guns after her parents were shot when she was younger. The man kept demanding they meet, threatening if Washington didn't he would grate her and use her blood as lube, and frequently turned up at her door, dodging police. But suddenly, he went completely quiet. Camera TikTok /u/Daciadoesit. In September, he came for her, kicking her door in. Washington said, I remember just grabbing my firearm off the table and I wasn't angry, I wasn't upset. I had just made a decision that it's either him or it's me and I chose me. And I shot him. The police later found Washington's stalker, his injuries leaving him unable to run, and he was sentenced to jail. Washington went on to work at a gun range and took part in refuse to be a victim courses to help other women feel empowered to protect themselves. She now works at a big tech company and never takes any moment of life for granted. Washington's stalker, Douglas Eugene Jackson, was sentenced to 15 years in prison in 2020. Moving to the second story. My girlfriend is getting close to another man who I know is interested in her. My girlfriend and I have been together for 5 years. We're both in our mid-20s, met in college, and have been living together for around 3 years. A little over 6 months ago, we had to find a new place to live rather quickly. Thankfully, we found a great place in the city. A little on the expensive side, but we made it work. A week into living here, my girlfriend met one of our neighbors, Jenna, who lives almost directly across the hall. Jenna lives there with her boyfriend, and they're roughly our age, maybe a couple of years older. By the end of December, my girlfriend and Jenna became pretty well acquainted. I don't know if I'd say friends because they never hung out outside of them inviting us to dinner and vice versa, but I do think my girlfriend and Jenna texted every now and then. Jenna is a nice enough, but her boyfriend Sam is a fucking asshole. He's arrogant and entitled, and I do not like him. My girlfriend didn't like him either in the beginning, her words, but eventually seemed to warm up to him. Eventually we learned that the two of them are in an open relationship. I've never really understood the whole open relationship thing, but it's really not my business, so ultimately I don't care. What does bother me is I've caught Sam straight up checking out my girlfriend. I've noticed Jenna noticing it too, and being uncomfortable with it. I didn't think my girlfriend had noticed at first. About 2 months ago, when my girlfriend and I were coming home from dinner with a friend, we heard the two of them screaming at one another from inside their apartment. My girlfriend wanted to knock and see if things were okay. I wanted to leave it alone, so we knocked. Sam answered and said it wasn't the best time, and Jenna pushed past him and left with a suitcase. He called after her, but she told him to go fuck himself, and that was it. 2 weeks later, we didn't hear a thing from either of them. My girlfriend texted Jenna asking if she was okay, and got no response. This next bit I only know because my girlfriend told me. She caught Sam as he was leaving and she was coming home from work, and she asked him if things were okay. He confirmed they broke up and that Jenna has moved out completely. The next day, while I was at work, my girlfriend went to his place to see how he was doing, and he explained to her what happened. It's not really relevant, but because I know some people may be curious. Apparently he cheated and Jenna broke up with him. I feel like there's more to the story, but I don't know if that's all Sam told my girlfriend, or if that's all she told me. Ever since my girlfriend and Sam have been texting pretty much every day, if not every other day. I told her I'm a little uncomfortable with how close they've gotten. She said she feels bad because he doesn't really have anyone now. I told her it's his fault for being a cheater, and it bothered me that she has sympathy for him. She agreed to dial it back, but said she won't ignore him completely. Then I asked two really stupid questions. The first was, if she was attracted to Sam. I expected her to say no honestly because she's always told me that I'm exactly her type, looks and personality, and he and I are completely different. She said that's not a fair question. When I asked why, she said she should be allowed to find other men attractive without it being an issue, and said surely I'm attracted to other women. I agreed, but I said it's different when it's a guy who's been fucking her at every opportunity. I took her silence after that as a yes. I also took it to mean she actually did notice him checking her out. The second stupid question was if she had the opportunity to sleep with him, guilt-free, would she? She again said I'm being unfair because if she says yes, then I'll be pissed even though she'd have permission to do it. My response was, so that's a yes. We were quiet for a while after that until someone texted her. She looked at the message and then looked away, and I asked who it was. She didn't answer me and I got visibly upset. I started walking to our bedroom and grabbed a bag to pack some clothing. She followed me and said they're just friends. I asked if she would be willing to show me her phone. She hesitated but said yes, but the hesitation was enough for me. I grabbed my bag and my laptop and told her I just need to get away from here for a while and clear my head. She asked what that meant, and I said I have to think about some things and left. So here I am, sitting in a hotel room, wondering what the fuck is happening in my relationship and wondering if I screwed things up, if she did or if we both did. Relevant comments. Chagrin. Should have tried checking on Jenna with the same vigor. OP. See how well would that went? Laughing face. And honestly, she at least deserved being checked on. Not this cheating asshole. OP. My girlfriend did try reaching out to her, but never got a response. But I agree she deserves it more. I don't have a way of contacting her myself, unfortunately. Tomato salad $9.99. Did she actually try to reach out? OP. I'm only going off of her word that she did, which I know means very little at the moment. OOP further clarified why she would comfort a cheater, and the optics aren't good. She told me she went to his place to see how he's doing after she did it, and it was the next day that I found out. She never said it was the full truth, but she didn't hint there was more to the story either. I don't know why she's invested in comforting a cheater. She's never defended a cheater in the past. Update. Well, first of all, I want to say that I didn't expect this to blow up as much as it did, and I want to thank everyone for the encouraging comments and for reaching out personally, even if I didn't respond. Lots of people said that I made a lot of mistakes, not checking her phone, not confronting him, leaving after our fight. Hindsight, I guess, but I just didn't want to be there anymore at that moment. I was able to reach out to Jenna. She confirmed she and Sam had an open relationship, but it was one-sided, which she said worked for the longest time, until it didn't. She said she told Sam after the first time we were invited for dinner my girlfriend was off limits. Then she confirmed she came home and caught them kissing. She also said it's not the first time he's broken the rules. She apologized for not telling me sooner, but said she just wants to put him behind her. She also asked me not to contact her again. I called my sister afterwards. She's the one who helped me find Jenna's socials, and we talked about me coming home for a while to clear my head. I said that it entirely depends on what I find when I get home. I might have been able to forgive a kiss. When I got home last night, our apartment was empty. It surprised me how not surprised I was that she wasn't there. I put my things down, took a deep breath, and went to his apartment. When he answered, I pushed on the door to open it wider, and my attention went immediately to her. I asked her if we could talk alone, when she didn't move and looked towards him. I said fuck it and pushed past him into his apartment. He sarcastically told me to come in and close the door. I told them I knew about the kiss. She looked surprised. He didn't. He said, "You talked to Jenna then?" And I said, "Yes, she told me everything." He said he doubts that. I said I know he's cheated on Jenna before, and he admitted that he's broken the rules of their relationship before, but said Jenna isn't a saint either. He said their relationship was incredibly toxic on both sides, and I said she seemed like a good person to me. He said I don't know her, They were together for 7 years and he knows her better than anyone. I said I didn't believe him. My girlfriend told me that Jenna sent her really nasty messages when she texted her asking if she was okay and tried to apologize. I shrugged and said, "So?" She had every right to be angry. Sam immediately jumped to her defense and said, "At me? Paige didn't know the rules of our relationship, so for all she knew that kiss was within them." It was quiet for about a minute, and then I asked my girlfriend how long it took after I left for her to come knocking on his door. She told me I left her in relationship limbo and didn't know if I was even coming back, which didn't answer my question, but I dropped it because I was never going to get an honest answer. I didn't need to ask if they slept together because she was in her underwear and a t-shirt, and he was only wearing sweatpants. I went to leave and told her I'm moving back home and I'll be emailing our landlord and telling him I want out of the lease and that she'll be taking it over completely. She said she can't afford that, so I told her I don't care. Then I left. I called my sister and she's making arrangements to come get me, but she's 9 hours away and won't be able to make it until tomorrow or Tuesday. It gives me time to pack my shit at least. I'm not exactly loving that I'll be staying here for a day or two. Unfortunately, I can't turn off my feelings for her, and knowing she's across the hall getting fucked by another man isn't awesome, but I can't afford the hotel again. I don't really know how I'm feeling right now. I went from anger to sadness to anger again, and now I just feel numb. So that's it. Again, wondering how we got here. Our relationship wasn't perfect, and we had our issues, but I never thought we'd end up here. Relevant comments. Art 3 Ms. the Great. May hurt now, but really bro, good riddance. Even better that you confirmed they cheated on you so you won't go on a limbo, asking yourself questions you can't answer and blaming yourself for leaving before confirming something's happening. On your first post, I was worried you'd spiral and blame yourself for leaving immediately. I'm so glad you were able to confirm it, so you now have no reasons to dwell on this crappy relationship. You'll be okay and better. OP. I do blame myself a little if I'm being honest. If I would have looked through her phone, maybe I would have found out about the kiss sooner. I'm sure there's more that I both do and don't want answers to. It's too late now, so I'm trying not to dwell on the what-ifs.
Moving to the third story. My 22F, BF, 25M, doesn't find me attractive anymore because I gained weight. How can I fix this in a healthy way? Now, to give some context before I start, I have had diagnosed anorexia for 8 years. I had an immense fear of food and was dangerously thin about 4 years ago. I have gained some weight shortly after, but my mental recovery has been difficult. I have only been feeling well for less than a year. My boyfriend and I have known each other for 2 years. The first year was very difficult. He had just come out of a serious relationship that ended with him being cheated on multiple times. Because of how traumatic that was for him, he ended up treating me horribly. He has since apologized and has been amazing to me. However, I know that multiple other women were in his life during that first year. My confidence was already shaken because of this. Now it has hit an ultimate low. We have had an amazing sex life until a few months ago. We used to get intimate every day, maybe even more than once. Lately, it happens about only once a week, and the passion is not there. He is very into me giving him oral, but just not sex itself. When we do have sex, it's always in positions where he can't really see my face or my body. I've tried talking about this with him multiple times and nothing has changed, until today. I decided to be specific and asked him if me gaining weight had anything to do with his interest being so low, and he said yes. Mind you, I'm nowhere near fat. For the first time since my teenage years, I'm actually a healthy weight. Now I do have some lower belly fat and thick legs, but I wasn't bothered by that. Because I thought I was lovable and attractive no matter what. I can't help but spiral. I know it's not his fault that he doesn't find me attractive anymore, but mentally I'm not taking this very well. I have the desire to cover up every inch of my skin. I get very uncomfortable when he tries to touch me in any way, conflicted in whether I should have a meal or not, etc. How do I get through this in a healthy way? Relevant comments. OP on if she thinks her boyfriend was being an asshole for saying that he didn't find her attractive. OP, he really wasn't, and yes, I asked it. Otherwise, I don't think he would ever say something like this to me on his own. I get why everyone is advising me to let this relationship pass, but I also do agree with you on the importance of honesty. I've been wondering if I worded myself the wrong way. OP on the possibilities if something has triggered her boyfriend or herself. OP, nothing triggered anyone. I asked the question and I got my answer. My response is indeed not that of a normal person's considering my end. I just want advice on not spiraling on this issue, as in covering myself all the time, etc., and moving on without feeling any sort of resentment. Update. I had posted a little more than a week ago about this situation with my partner. Link above. Since then I have been working out daily, eating what I consider to be healthy, and honestly I've had an amazing result in such a short time. Now I must make clear that I'm not doing this in an unhealthy way. However, the toll this took on my mind still didn't completely go away. I have been having a hard time getting intimate with my partner, because I get very nervous to his touch. I had a conversation with him on how I've been very happy with this new routine and the results I see on my body. He said, "Good, you still have a little more to go," and pointed at my lower belly. He does compliment my body and call me beautiful also, but I found this comment to be unnecessary and very toxic, so I tried to chat with him about it. He just said it's normal in a normal relationship with a normal communication. I got mad and told him to go home, and that I needed to think about it. Now since I have an anorexia to be specific, I don't know if I am overreacting to stuff like this. I had also told him to research what anorexia is and be a bit more sensitive towards me when the topic is my weight a week ago. He said he would, but he didn't, and he also kept commenting. He said he just wanted to motivate me since I've already started working out. Is he right? Am I overreacting? Is it just an innocent comment with no bad intent? Update. Thank you for your comments. I know some of you were mad that I posted twice and did not listen to any advice from the first one. I know you all mean well. I had a hard time accepting the facts because of many reasons that I do not want to get into. You've all been very supportive and kind. Thank you for giving me the courage and the push towards the right direction. I have ended things and will be focusing on myself from now on. And please do not worry about my health, as I'm trying my hardest to eat, and succeeding, even when I do not feel hungry due to stress. Much love, and again thanks to all of you. Red heart. Relevant comments. OP responds to multiple questions about keeping her health in check and not relapse back to her old habits with anorexia. OP, do not worry, I'm not restricting myself from anything. I'm still very healthy. Thank you for your concern. Light skin tone emoji modifier. Plus I'm not back to my disordered habits. There's no need to worry. To be more specific, my mother was there with me during the entirety of my end, from my lowest to my recovery. I have voiced my concerns of relapse and we're doing daily checkups of my eating habits. Thank you for asking. Light skin tone emoji modifier. Plus having an eating disorder is a mental illness, not just physical, just like a drug addiction is. You're never mentally free and always have the risk of relapsing, but that doesn't always mean it has to be the case. I've had my fair share of relapses or slips, but yes, I'm doing fine at this exact moment. Goldenhind 124, you're not overreacting and your gut reaction is telling you something here. Why can't this dipshit BF of yours just say something encouraging without offering an evaluation? Why can't he just simply be kind? No, he just has to shoot his mouth off with that nugget and further worsening your insecurity and self-esteem. I can't believe for a minute that this is being done without malice. And I promise you, that shittiness gets much worse over time, not better. I think it is time to call it on this relationship before the real harm sets in. Keep focusing on your health and following the proper guidelines for ED treatment. Seek out help from a therapist that is trained in this recovery because I am worried for you and you need positive support outside of your relationship. Good luck and hugs, love.